There's a pot on your patio right now with something dead in it, or nearly dead, leggy, crisped at the edges, browning out from the bottom. And in about 6 weeks, you'll do what almost every gardener in this country does. Pull it out. Compost pile. Then, next May, you'll stand in a checkout line and pay for the exact same annuals all over again. Some people have run that loop for 20 years without once asking why. It was never your pot. It was never your climate. It was the plants. 11 perennials come back in the same container year after year, thicker every season through drought and neglect and hard freeze. And there are 3 things about pots nobody tells you. Get those wrong, and none of the 11 will save you. Number 1 is the hardest plant on this list to kill. I'll show you where mine lives. One number before I start, because it explains almost every dead pot you have ever thrown out. A container runs 2 zones colder than your garden. The ground insulates. A pot doesn't. It freezes from all 4 sides at once, straight through the middle. So zone 6 in your beds behaves like zone 4 on your patio. Every zone I give you today is the pot number, not the number on the tag. Number 11, creeping thyme. Start easy. This is the one that spills over the rim and softens the whole container, and it asks less of you than anything else here except number 1. Creeping thyme is root hardy to 30 below. Zones 4 through 9 in the ground, which in a pot puts you safe down through about zone 6 without doing a thing. Zone 4 or 5 if it's tucked against the house. It came off the stony hillsides of the Mediterranean where the soil is thin and gravelly and nothing gets watered, which is where people go wrong with it. Do not feed it. Do not give it rich compost-heavy potting soil. Do not baby it. Thyme in good soil goes soft and floppy and opens up in the middle. It sprawls, thins out, looks like something died in the center. Thyme in lean, gritty, half-forgotten soil stays tight and dense and covers itself in tiny flowers that bees work all through June. Plant it right at the edge of the pot so it drapes down the outside. If you've got a big container with something tall in the middle, thyme is what goes around the rim to finish it. And it does one thing nothing else here does. Brush past it on the way to the mailbox, catch your sleeve on it, step on the edge of it, and the whole patio smells like it for 10 minutes. Cheap, tough, and it pays you in scent. Number 10, coneflower. Purple coneflower, zones 3 through 9, so in a container, you're comfortable to about zone 5. Blooms July, clean through September, and the seed heads feed goldfinches into January. But this one has a requirement, and skip it, and you'll wonder why yours sulks while your neighbor's thrives in the ground. Coneflower runs a taproot, not a shallow web of fibrous roots like most of this list. One main root that wants to head straight down and keep going. Put it in a wide, shallow bowl, and it has nowhere to put that root. It survives, it just never really gets going. 16 inches deep, minimum, deeper if you've got it. On this one plant, the depth matters more than the width, which is the opposite of everything else on this list. Get that right, and it's about as low effort as flowering perennials come. Full sun, water it in for the first few weeks, then leave it alone. 2 things I'd tell you at the counter. Buy a plain purple one, the ordinary kind, the one your mother grew. A lot of the fancy orange and coral doubles cost twice as much and come out of dry country coneflowers with an even deeper taproot that doesn't take to pot life. And don't cut it down in the fall. Leave the black seed heads standing all winter. They hold snow. They catch the low January light around 4 in the afternoon, and the goldfinches strip them bare by February. A pot with seed heads still standing in the middle of winter looks deliberate. A pot cut down to bare soil looks abandoned. Number 9, Black-Eyed Susan, Rudbeckia, zones 3 through 9, container safe to about zone 5. And it earns this spot for a reason none of the others can claim. Everything else on this list is a deposit. You plant it now, you get paid next May. Black-Eyed Susan pays you this week. Put one in a pot in August and it flowers in August, gold, and plenty of it right through to the first hard frost, which happens to be the exact 6-week stretch when your patio looks its absolute worst. That's the trade nobody tells you about August planting. You're not just setting up next year, you're rescuing the tail end of this one. Now the honest part. This plant gets a leaf disease in humid summers. Bottom leaves go spotty, then brown, then the whole thing looks scorched around the ankles by late August. If that's happened to you, It wasn't neglect, and it wasn't your watering. Two things stack in your favor in a container. Air moves around a pot from all four sides, which is most of the battle with any leaf disease. And there's a variety called American Gold Rush, bred narrow-leaved and tight, that shrugs it off where the standard ones get flattened. It won Plant of the Year from the Perennial Plant Association on exactly that. It runs a few dollars more than the plain one on the rack. In a humid state, pay it. Quick thing while I've got the list open. Everything I'm walking through here, I wrote the long version of it down. It's at henrysgardensecrets.com. I only mention it because I get the same question in the comments every week. Where do I start? Back to the list. Number 8. Hosta. I know what some of you are about to type. Yes, I put out a whole video on hostas 2 days ago. If you caught it, you already know August is division month. Here's the part I didn't get to. The container version. Hosta is the answer to the ugliest spot most American houses have. The north side, the covered porch. That dark strip along the fence where you've lost a 10-year war with grass and every flowering thing you've tried has come out pale and leggy and disappointed. Nothing flowers there. Hosta doesn't care. It was never grown for flowers. It's grown for leaves the size of dinner plates. Get a big variety for a pot. Sum and Substance is the one I'd point you at. Yellow-green, enormous, and it fills a container the way the little ones can't. Zones 3 through 8, so container safe to about zone 5. Here's the August part. Any hosta that sat in the same spot 4 or 5 years has quietly become 3 or 4 plants pretending to be one. Lift it, work it apart with 2 garden forks back to back, and every piece goes straight into a pot. 1 plant, 4 containers, no receipt. 2 honest warnings, because this is the least lazy plant on the list. Container hostas dry out. Even dormant in January, they want a little moisture. Check the pot every few weeks through winter and give it a splash if it's gone bone dry. And shove the pot up against the house before the cold sets in. Out in the open, it's exposed on 4 sides. Against brick, 3. Quick thing while we're between plants. Which of those 4 is already growing somewhere in your yard? Put it in the comments with your state, and I mean the state, not just the zone, because I want to see where these are actually working and where they're struggling. Number 7. Ornamental grass. This is the plant that decides whether your patio looks alive in January or looks like a place where plants used to be. Featherweed grass, the one everybody grows, is Carl Forster, and it sends up narrow, upright plumes that go tan in the fall and then simply stand there. All winter, through wind, through ice, through the whole thing. Snow collects in them. Low sun comes through them sideways around 4 in the afternoon and lights the entire pot up. It's the only plant here that looks better dead than most plants look alive. Hardy to zone 3 in the ground, which is what makes it one of the safest bets you can put in a container. Even at zone 5 or 6 outside, you've got margin to spare. If you want something smaller for a mixed pot, blue-gray fescue does the same job in a tight blue-gray mound about a foot across. Big container on this one, 16 to 18 inches across, minimum. These grasses throw a lot of root, and a small pot chokes them out by the second summer. And here's the mistake people make every single October. They cut it down to tidy up before winter. Don't. Those standing stems insulate the crown all winter, and in a pot, where that crown is already colder than it would be in the ground, the insulation is doing real work. Cut it back in March, an inch above the soil, right before new growth starts. Leave it standing. That's the whole job. Number 6. Coral bells. Heuchera, if you want the nursery name. Zones 4 through 9. Container safe to about zone 6. You grow this one for the leaves, and that's the point. It never has to bloom to earn its place. Burgundy, caramel, near black, lime, silver veined. Pick your color and it holds it from April right through to Christmas in a mild year. They're cheap right now, too. Go look at the end-of-season racks. Coral bells sitting there at half price, tired and root-bound after a summer in a black plastic pot. That tired plant, potted up by the end of this month, will be better next June than anything you buy at full price next spring. Now the warning, and this is the one that actually cost people the plant. Coral bells sit shallow. The crown rides right at the soil line, which makes it the most likely thing on this list to get shoved up and out of the pot over winter. Freeze, thaw, freeze again. Every cycle lifts that crown a fraction higher, and by February, the roots are sitting in open air, drying out in the wind. Then in April, you look at the dead thing and decide It wasn't hardy enough for you. It was hardy. It got pushed out. 2 fixes, 4 minutes total. Leave the old leaves on all winter. Don't tidy them off. They're insulation. And after the first hard freeze, put 2 or 3 inches of straw or shredded leaves over the soil, around the crown, but never sitting on top of it. If you're going to skip mulch on one plant here, don't let it be this one. The 3 things nobody tells you about pots. Right, I said there were 3. And without these, the 11 plants don't matter much, so here they are before the top 5. First, what kills container plants is water that can't leave, not drought, standing water. Roots need air as much as they need moisture, and a root sitting in soaked soil suffocates, then rots, and by the time the leaves tell you about it, it's over. Real drainage holes, at least 3, big enough to get your little finger through, not the pinholes some decorative pots come with. A gritty mix all the way through the pot, rather than a layer at the bottom. And no saucer under anything that likes to be dry, because a saucer is a puddle you built on purpose. The test takes 20 seconds. Pour water in. It should disappear through the bottom almost immediately. If it's still sitting on the surface while you count to 30, your mix is too heavy, and everything above this is academic. Second, pot size is a winter decision, not a summer one. Here's where that 2-zone rule from the start actually bites. A 10-inch pot means watering every day in July, and in January it freezes solid to the middle on the first genuinely cold night, roots and all, from every direction at once. A 24-inch pot means watering about once a week, and it carries enough soil that the center never fully freezes. Something in there stays above the killing point. That mass is the entire game. It's the difference between a plant that's cold and a plant that's dead. 16 inches across minimum for anything on this list. Bigger if you can still move it. And 2 jobs in November. Once the ground has gone hard, shove all your pots together in a tight group against the house. On the side out of the wind, they insulate each other, and the wall gives off heat all night long. Then water everything once, properly, before the first hard freeze. A dry root ball freezes faster and deeper than a moist one, and that's where most people lose plants they thought they'd already saved. If you've got terracotta, bring it under cover. Terracotta soaks up water into the clay itself, and when that water freezes, it splits the pot down the side. Frost-proof glazed or plastic stays out. The pretty terracotta comes in. Third, the mix does half the work, and bagged garden soil ruins it. Not soil dug from the yard, far too heavy, packs down like concrete inside a pot. Not the cheapest bag stuff either, that's mostly ground bark, and it collapses on itself by midsummer. Half-decent potting mix, about a 1/3 course per light, or grit, the rest compost. That's it. Then once a year in spring, scrape 2 inches off the top and put fresh compost back. 10 minutes a pot, once a year, that's the entire maintenance program. Number 5. Catmint. Nepeta, the one most people grow, is Walker's Low, and it took Plant of the Year back in 2007. Zones 4 through 8, container safe to around Zone 6. It's a low gray-green cloud that throws up lavender blue flower spikes from late May. And if you shear it back by a 1/3 once the first flush burns out, it comes straight back and blooms again into October. 5 months of flower off a plant that wants nothing from you. And nothing eats it. Deer walk past it, rabbits walk past it. It's the scented leaves that do it. The same oils that smell good to us taste wrong to them. If you've been losing a front porch fight with deer, this is the plant that ends it. In a container, it does something it can't do in a bed. It spills. Plant it near the edge, and it tumbles over the rim in a soft gray wave that hides the hard line of the pot all summer long. 2 notes. Full sun, in shade, it goes leggy and falls open. And do not fertilize it. Rich feeding is exactly what makes catmint split apart in the middle and sprawl. Lean soil keeps it tight. Forget to water it for a week in August, and it won't hold it against you. Not many flowering plants can say that. Number 4. Lavender. Now somebody's already typing that lavender dies for them every single winter. I know, that's exactly why it's on this list. Here's the thing almost nobody says out loud. Lavender is usually easier to keep alive in a pot than in the ground, not the other way around. Think about what actually kills lavender in an American garden. It's almost never the cold. It's wet feet in heavy clay through February and March, water sitting around the crown while the plant is dormant, and by the time you go and look in April, the base has gone soft and brown and finished. Lavender came off dry, rocky Mediterranean hillsides. Ohio clay in early spring is the opposite of that in every way there is. In a container, you control the drainage completely. You pick the mix. You decide whether the water leaves. The single biggest killer of this plant is a problem you get to opt out of entirely. I killed 3 lavenders in a row in the clay strip along my drive before I gave up and stuck one in a big terracotta pot with a gritty mix. Same yard, same winters. That one is still going. I stopped blaming my climate somewhere around the second one. Now the honest catch, and it's the only real zone problem on this list. English lavender, Munstead, and Hidcote is hardy to zone 5 in the ground. Take your 2 zones off for the pot and you're really at zone 7. So if you're in Georgia or the Carolinas or Texas, leave it out all winter and don't give it another thought. In zone 5 or 6, in Ohio, Michigan, or New England, that pot has to go somewhere sheltered before real winter. Against the south wall, under an eave, or into an unheated garage. Full sun, lean soil, and water at far less than instinct tells you to. Subscribe if you want more of these videos. A fair amount of it is me telling you what I had wrong, so you don't have to find out the slow way. 4 left. Number 1 is the plant I have never watered. Not once, not ever, and I'll tell you exactly where it's been sitting. Number 3, Daylily, zones 3 through 9, and about as close to unkillable as a flowering perennial gets. One of the safest things you can put in a container anywhere in this country. The reason it works in a pot is underground. Daylily roots are thick and fleshy, and they hold water inside themselves, which means the plant carries its own reserve tank. Miss a week in July, and it doesn't wilt, doesn't sulk, doesn't drop its buds. It waits. Here's the thing worth knowing before you buy. Because most people don't know, there's a question to ask. A daylily flower opens and dies in a single day. That's where the name comes from. So the number that matters isn't the size of the bloom in the catalog picture. It's how many buds the plant sets and how long it keeps setting them. A good clump will run 30 or 40 days and put out several hundred flowers over a season. The cheap ones planted in every parking lot median in America give you one hard flush in June and then stand there being green until November. Stella d'Oro and Happy Returns are the repeat bloomers most people know by name, and they'll go again into September depending on where you garden. 16 inches a pot minimum. Every 3 or 4 years, tip the whole thing out, pull it apart into fans, and put 2 or 3 fans back in each container. One plant becomes 4. Nobody sells you anything. Number 2, Sedum, Autumn Joy or Autumn Fire. Same plant, slightly different color in the flower, zones 3 through 9, and it takes a hard freeze in a container with no protection at all. Every leaf on it is a water tank. That's not a figure of speech, it's a succulent, and those fat rubbery leaves hold their own supply. In a pot, once it's established, you're watering maybe twice a month in hot weather. In the ground, less than that. I'm not going to give you a number of weeks it can go without water, because I've seen the figures people throw around, and I don't believe anybody has actually measured it properly. What I can tell you is, I've come back from 10 days away in August to find everything else on the patio flat on its face, and the sedum looking exactly as I left it. Then it does the thing that puts it this high on the list. It blooms in September and October, dusty pink going to copper, when every other pot you own has quit for the year. And the dried heads stand up right through the winter. And no, I'm not going to tell you to feed it. The opposite. Sedum in rich soil grows tall and soft and splits open down the middle, like somebody sat on it. Sedum in poor lean soil stays tight and compact and stands up straight. Snap a stem off, push it in the dirt, water it once. That's a new plant every time. Before number 1, if you've ever killed a potted plant that the tag swore was hardy and then spent the whole spring quietly assuming it was something you did wrong, hit the like button. It probably wasn't you. It was almost certainly 2 zones in a pot that nobody warned you about. Number 1, hens and chicks, semper vivum. The name means always alive, and whoever landed on that had clearly tried to kill one. Zones 3 through 8. It survives 30 below, and it multiplies on its own. The mother plant throws off little ones all around herself. And those are the chicks, and they root wherever they land. Free plants forever, with no effort from you whatsoever. One thing to know, and it's the only thing: cold doesn't kill these. Wet does. Frozen solid and dry, it comes through fine. Sitting in soggy soil for 2 days, it rots. So, gritty mix, real drainage, no saucer underneath. Then stop watering it and walk away. Mine live in a cracked concrete trough that sat behind my mother's back steps for 30 years. I have never once watered it. 11 plants, 1 planting, and the end of that annual receipt for things that were always going to be dead by July. Do it this month while the soil still holds its heat and the roots have time to take hold before the ground closes up. Pots 16 inches across at the very least. Gritty mix. 1 good soaking before the first hard freeze, and then leave them be until spring. If you're 60 or 70, you've handed over enough seasons already to plants that never stood a chance.